So then going to like the part two, and so the actual Pathless Path, embracing a different kind of journey, one focus on coming alive, as you just kind of mentioned, embracing uncertainty. We've also kind of gone over that, experimenting as well, and being open to possibility. One of the sections, the life-changing magic of non-doing, I thought was really interesting. And you mentioned, Rebecca Solnit, Lao Tzu, and John Steinbeck. That right there in our today's modern world of, get up and go and continue to go at 1,000 miles an hour is directly kind of counter to that, non-doing. Well, you might get more impetus and things by not doing something than just continuing to do something. So, and then also you say, having fun along the way, reimagining money and having a little faith. This path doesn't make me rich with money, but does make me wildly rich in time, connections, and meaning. I think that's so well said and huge to even think about, because like we talked about, money's not everything, but then also doing is not everything. Sometimes you need to not do something that's just as important as doing something. So maybe expand a little bit on that.
I think a lot of us have this default switch that we always need to be doing something. And then what happens when you don't do stuff is you feel bad. So you just take that to mean like, well, the smart and good thing to do is to keep doing stuff. But it's similar to the fear, right? There's actually something worth finding in that discomfort. And people mistake non-doing with like being lazy or being useless. That's not what happens for 98% of humans. Right? When you open up energy and you have the conditions to succeed, like people open up, they become more energized with life. They become actively engaged in things they want to be doing. And it's really about making that switch visible, right? So it's like there's always options to do something. But what if you just don't do anything? You pause and then see what emerges in that space. In that space might be another option that you're naturally drawn to do, right? So it's like I purposely said no to projects and didn't pursue freelance projects. But in that space, I kind of like was drawn to write more and create that online course that eventually turned into something that paid my bills. None of it made any sense at the time. Like if I'm defaulting to like, you should make money, right?
Right.
But if I was building a life and trying to find things I want to keep doing, it was the only smart thing to be doing with my time.
Right.
So a lot of people acknowledge money is not the most important thing. But then if you observe their actions, it appears that they don't really believe that. Their actions would indicate that money appears to be the most important thing in the world.
Yeah. Actions express priorities, I think Gandhi said. Yeah. So then you got into another section, redefining success. So talk a little bit more about, redefining prestige as well and finding your tribe and, being enough. I think that being enough is a huge thing as well. I think a lot of people don't give themselves enough credit just for being, human, Homo sapiens in today's Anthropocene, like just being enough and being able to like, see that you can be creative, see that you can also be interesting and stuff. And I think people kind of close themselves off from those kind of avenues as well. So one of those things that kind of really drawn me out right after that is remembering you're creative and asking who do you serve, but also playing the long game, and how like an abundant mindset is like much, more beneficial, I guess, than a scarcity mindset in kind of this type of way of thinking. So maybe, kind of parse that out a little bit more of how you can kind of see yourself in the future and then work backwards by what you dubbed inverting, if you will.
Yeah. So a lot of people look at life as this series of things you need to go through, and eventually you arrive at some future state in which everything is great and everything is figured out, everything is better, right? So there's a couple things there. One is just trying to realize that might actually be true, but you may not need to suffer to get there.
Good point.
Right? So a lot of people, if you're a driven, curious person, you're probably going to be okay over the long run financially. But if you've set in your mind that like I need to reach X number to feel that, that's how you're
Right.
more or less going to orient, right? So there's probably tremendous value in asking a hard question of saying like, how could I actually embody that okayness now, and practice it. So like I think what I've realized is like practicing generosity and practicing helping people and practicing teaching and practicing being generous with my time with people now and making friends is actually the way to do that.
Right. Right.
And then you can kind of skip all the nonsense of like proving yourself and making money.
Right, right, right. And you also kind of go into that of like creating your own culture, and the first quote that kind of came to my mind is like, be the change you wish to see in the world, but not even just in the general world, but your own world. Like you've changed your own kind of thought process, life journey to then kind of reciprocate back to you. But it's also been kind of a worthwhile journey by you're creating your own little niche, your own little culture of networking, et cetera. um, it's quite interesting that also it almost seems that obviously you don't want to do this alone. You know what I mean? Like you're not in a vacuum by yourself.
Yeah, I think I love connecting with people and making friends and teaching people and helping people. So I want to like build that and grow into it. I kind of realized the default state and the default norms and path I was around in my early 30s were not going to get me there. What I
Right.
was noticing was like people around me were getting fat. They were miserable at their jobs. They were moving to
Mm.
the suburbs and socializing with their friends less. They were having kids and complaining about how expensive everything was. And like, I don't know, that wasn't the culture I wanted to create.
No, no,
But
me
that's
neither.
like a very easy trap and path to fall into. So I didn't know how to like create something different, and I basically was driven by the impulse of let's go find out. Let's read books, let's do experiments, let's try to figure this out. And it was very much like I don't think I have any answers, I don't know how to do this, but there was a sense of like I need to find out, there's something worth finding.
No, that's great. And plus it kind of gives, life a direction and purpose, as you say. It's not just something that you're just kind of willy-nilly going around, but then also you have, you know, structure, a little bit of structure. It might not be measurable or understandable, like you said, but it does give you some type of purpose or want to get out of bed in the morning more so than like you just listed off the hell that people are living in, it seems like.
Yeah, and I mean, some people are thriving on the default path. It didn't work for me.
Good point.
Like the
Yeah, yeah,
default,
yeah.
yeah, like for me, I just like wasn't able to make it work in a way that I was excited about. And it was making me cynical, and it was making me frustrated. And I kind of realized it's up to me to figure it out. Nobody's going to create your life for you.
Right.
If you want to be part around amazing friends, you need to make it happen. Turns out like the internet, writing online, creating online, sharing ideas is like, if you're that kind of person, it's like superpower now.
Totally.
And I'm so lucky I found it. I don't know what I would have done if I was 10 years older. I think it would have been really hard for me. I think I definitely would have probably faced depression and struggles and challenges. But yeah, I mean, it's an amazing time to be alive today. There's more possibility for paths and ways of working and living than ever. And yeah, I'm going to lean into that.